Oh, hi there! This video is sponsored by Manscaped.com. The holiday season is officially here. I just got Manscaped's all-in-one male grooming kit, the Perfect Package 4.0. First off, we got the Lawnmower 4.0, a waterproof cordless trimmer built to perfection with advanced skin-safe technology to prevent nicks and cuts, and it even has an LED light for grooming in the long winter nights. The box includes the Crop Preserver Ball Deodorant and the Crop Reviver Ball Toner Spray that both make for great stocking stuffers. If this wasn't already perfect enough for every guy's wish list this season, for a limited time, this box comes with 2 free gifts, the Shed Travel Bag and Manscaped's Anti-Chafing Boxers. If you have a special man in your life, make sure to get him the Perfect Package by Manscaped. Or my dudes, it's been a rough couple of years, get it for yourself. Don't wait, go to manscaped.com and use my promo code ATL to get 20% off your Manscaped order. There comes a time in just about every lost media search where someone asks, is this even real? Despite a general lack of evidence for a number of lost media searches, they do tend to be legitimate. But there are some times when the lost media community is led on a wild goose chase, pouring hours into a search, only to find themselves bamboozled by both fake lost media and fake lost media discoveries. Even I sometimes get comments that are obvious trolls claiming that they found lost media, but want to keep it to themselves. Who makes this stuff up, and what's wrong with y'all? While I had a really great time making this video, intentionally wasting people's time is not cool, and generally takes away time from the real mysteries that our community loves so much, so don't be like these clowns. I was gonna include Go for a Punch on this list because it seems that the search is basically over and most believe that the lost anime is a hoax, but when I brought this up to my lost media friends, a heated debate ensued, so it appears the search still continues. Leave your thoughts on the Saki Sanabashi Go for a Punch debate in the comments, I'd love to hear what you think. And while you're there, this video was made because of comments on a previous video, so let me know what else you want me to cover or hit me up on Twitter at LostMediaMike. So here are just a few of the many lost media hoaxes. Kekcroc is an obscure video game released in 1993 for the Sega Genesis. Little is known about the game, as there appears to be nothing about it online except for the box art itself. The game has been described as low effort and unlicensed, and generally appearing in the clearance sections of various local discount stores throughout the 90s. The game is also rumored to have been ported from the Genesis to the MS-DOS, NES, and Game Boy. Various screenshots have also been posted, but have not been confirmed as real, as well as box art and pictures from floppy disks for the apparent DOS version from 1994. The box art itself features the word Kekcroc in 3D text, along with a very crude 3D model of the titular character, surrounded by phrases such as "rock around the croc" and "a fun family experience." Or at least that's what the Know Your Meme page says. Yeah, I have to start with what might be the most obvious and well-known jokes in lost media gaming. It seems like Kekcroc has been circulating since the beginning of the internet. Nary a day goes by without this charming little fella gracing our screens. But Kekcroc actually originates from a June 2016 post on 4chan's V-board. The OP says they came across the game from the archives of a local gaming store website and posted it because the game's title contains Kek, a popular variation on LOL. This led to the game being used as a popular reaction image on 4chan. Based on other anonymous users who claim to have played the game, the main character Kekcroc is a generic crocodile in a straw hat armed with a toilet plunger. The gameplay features crude animations with stiff movement and controls, and even a 5th level called Toasty's Castle, Toasty being Kekcroc's arch enemy of course. 4chan was even able to uncover the game's opening sequence and an image of the DOS port on a monitor. These are obviously all fake. Kekcroc sounds like a toy with low batteries, and the image from the DOS port is too high fidelity to be from an obscure game from the 90s. The OP probably just made the game and spread it across the internet. But this is the easy answer. Could Kekcroc be the Egyptian deity Kek, the god of primordial darkness, taking the form of a crocodile, possibly originating from the easternmost region of Hungary? If so, what are Kekcroc's intentions? And more importantly, what does 4chan know that we don't?
You really think someone would do that? Just go on the internet and tell lies?
Croc 3, Stone of the Gobos. Unlike Kekcroc, who is almost certainly an Eldritch being, Croc is but a lowly Yoshi ripoff, and the source of one of lost media's most infamous hoaxes. The Croc series was a platformer developed by Argonaut Software, best known for the original Star Fox, developing the Super FX chip for Nintendo, and the long, unreleased Star Fox 2. They are definitely best known for Star Fox, but I never had a Super Nintendo growing up, so my first experience with an Argonaut creation was 1997's Croc, Legend of the Gobos, soon followed up by the creatively named Croc 2, a few years later. To round out the Croc trilogy, Argonaut were planning on releasing Croc 3 Stone of the Gobos for PS1, PS2, GameCube, Dreamcast, and Xbox as a direct continuation of Croc 2. The game also went through the names Croc 3 Baron's Revenge and Croc 3 Croc Returns while in development. In the game, Croc would have to stop Baron Dante, who has an evil spell that only Croc can stop with the help of the Stone of the Gobos. The gameplay would have fully explorable hub world, and even a 2-player mode featuring Croc's love interest, Ginger, a new character to the series. Production started in 2001 with a 10-member team, but they soon ran into production issues. Because Croc 2 didn't sell well, their publisher Fox refused to return for the sequel. A PS1 version was made with a different engine, and the other versions used an updated version of this same engine that was very unstable. By the end, the PS1 and Dreamcast versions were scrapped, planning for a 2005 release. But in 2004, Argonaut Softwares were put up for sale, and the Croc franchise was bought by ZeniMax Media Inc., who had Mad Duck Productions continue Croc 3, but the game would end in cancellation. All the information on Croc 3 Stone of the Gobos was released in 2012 to Unseen64 by user Roger S. Cameron 95, who had an inside source. He even sent an in-development screenshot of the game's hub world, and were planning on leaking a demo of the PS2 build, but Argonaut founder Jeremy Jez San refused to allow it to leak, fearing legal action from ZeniMax. But as the Unseen64 article on the lost game gained attention, users started to point out some irregularities in Roger's story and tore it apart. Argonaut never lost their publisher over Croc 2. The game actually sold pretty well. The rights to the Croc franchise never went to ZeniMax, rather staying with the series creator. Croc 2 also used a hub world, so this wasn't anything new to the series like they were implying. And Croc 3 never would have even been considered for the Dreamcast. Even Croc 2's Dreamcast port was cancelled because the console wasn't selling well. This was soon followed up by actual developers from Argonaut Games confirming that the only work ever done for Croc 3 was a 2-page document made months before the studio's closure, and it was pitched for the Xbox. This developer was able to prove that ZeniMax never had the rights to Croc. User CCRoger15 was found to have been posting the same story on Assembler Games forums around the same time. It's believed that CC Rogers 15 and Roger S. Cameron 95 are the same individual and solely perpetuated the Croc 3 hoax. But there was a recent development in the Unseen64's comment section that claims otherwise. On August 26, 2021, a user named Daniel Rasmussen posted to Unseen64 claiming that he created the Croc 3 hoax to help promote a Croc-inspired video game he was working on at the time. And Roger S. Cameron 95 and CC Rogers 15 were an unknowing pawn in his spread of the fake game. He also says he's coming out with the truth now because he has terminal cancer and is trying to make amends, but the whole thing is very sus. Based on the website's archives, CC Rogers 15 was the first to post about Croc 3 on the Assembler Games forum, so it looks like David Rasmussen wasn't the first to post about it. The archives could be incomplete, so to give him the benefit of the doubt, I responded to him asking for proof, so we'll see if this goes anywhere. I personally am more inclined to believe the whole thing was fabricated by Roger S. Cameron 95, mostly because his name is Roger Scamron, and the lost game is nothing more than a croc.
Been tricked, we've been backstabbed, and we've been quite possibly bamboozled.
The Angry Beavers, cuffed together. The Angry Beavers was a really great early Nickelodeon show, airing for 4 seasons from 1997 to 2001. Like so many other TV shows, The Angry Beavers had a lost pilot. Luckily, in 2013, the pilot episode, titled Snowbound, was uploaded online stemming from a bootleg DVD. Little tangent here, it has a watermark on it, which I personally find super annoying for lost media. Like, why would you discover lost media then vandalize it just for shameless self-promotion? Anyways, the pilot showed that the series went through some changes before its first official episode, mainly a redesign and different voice actor for the character Norb to better differentiate the two beavers. After the release of the pilot, there were stirrings of a second Angry Beavers pilot titled Cuffed Together. The episode would have had Norbit and Daggett being arrested after destroying a wooden statue. The two would escape, but are still handcuffed together, kind of similar to the 80s movie The Defiant Ones. Cuffed Together was rumored to have never aired in the United States, but was shown before screenings of The Best Christmas Pageant Ever in select theaters, even though I'm pretty sure this movie was never shown in theaters. But throughout the years, no objective proof could be found that the episode existed, and even people who worked on The Angry Beavers had no knowledge of the episode, and some straight up denied it. Through further digging, the origins of Cuffed Together was traced back to a 2001 fan fiction. Posted to the Toon Zone forums by Brandon Pierce, the story beats matched the rumored second pilot perfectly. Upon further investigation, it becomes apparent that Brandon is a huge Angry Beavers fan, even claiming to have screenshots of the Snowbound pilot back in 2001, 12 years before the pilot's very existence would be known by the general public. Their user profile even says, "I sit and watch Angry Beavers all day." The guy's an expert. This revelation makes the existence of Cuffed Together highly improbable, especially since a superfan like Brandon would have likely known about the Cuffed Together pilot if it was real. So case closed, right? Someone found an old fan fiction and tried to pass it off as a lost episode. But there's one aspect of Cuffed Together that I can't shake. One part that makes me hesitant to confirm that the lost pilot is a hoax. Sometimes Nickelodeon would show facts about their episodes called Splat Facts, including one that reads, "The Angry Beavers original pilot, Cuffed Together / Snowbound, aired for a limited time worldwide in 1994. This is likely just a mistake. The person making the facts probably just used Google and confused the popular hoax with a real lost episode. But it's still a loose end that to me leaves room for the episode to be real. I reached out to Nickelodeon on Twitter via Nick Rewind about the episode, but they haven't gotten back to me. Feel free to give it a try yourself. Maybe if enough people bother them, they'll respond. Here Comes Sophie, the Lost Movie. Sophie was a French-Belgian comic published from 1965 to 1994 in the weekly comic magazine Spiro. The comic follows Sophie, typically involving her father's inventions being stolen and having to track them down with the help of her friends and a sentient car inspired by Herbie. Perhaps the most interesting part about Sophie is that she was published in the same magazine as the Smurfs, and the two franchises would occasionally cross over. In 1979, a movie was released based on Sophie called Here Comes Sophie in the US, UK, and of course, France and Belgium. Likely because the Sophie comics weren't widely known, this 1979 movie has gone missing. The search for the elusive film started when a French Wikipedia article was made about Here Comes Sophie with no sources. But the most unusual aspect of this search is that despite a Wikipedia page being made, we don't even know if the movie was animated, live action, or hybrid. A 2013 blog post detailing the history of Bell Vision Studios casually mentions Here Comes Sophie. The post implies that Here Comes Sophie is semi-animated, listing it alongside 1977's live-action animation hybrid Gulliver's Travels, implying that the two have the same art style. The blog post also claims that the movie can be found on DVD, but in the comments they admit they have never actually seen the movie. It would soon come to light that the only evidence we have of this obscure movie come from 3 English language posters, one for the American release, British release, and a third poster by Disney. These posters are evidence that Here Comes Sophie went through some major changes in the localization process. It seems like they couldn't decide on what direction to take, so they just made 3 different versions. An American version produced by Universal starring Molly Ringwald, a UK version produced by Columbia starring Elizabeth Hurley, and the Disney version starring Alison Balson, directed by Rene Goscinny and Lee Payant. In case you forgot which video you're watching, this movie is obviously fake. Let me list the ways. Rene Goscinny died in 1977, 2 years before the movie was released. Molly Ringwald was barely starting her career at the time. Elizabeth Hurley wasn't even acting at the time of the movie's release. Alison Balson was 10 at the time of the movie's release. None of the actors, producers, writers, or musicians listed on the poster have Sophie in their filmography. And it was found that at least 2 of these posters copied their art from existing Sophie materials. To me, one of the biggest mysteries around Here Comes Sophie, other than why would someone waste their time like this, is why are all the posters in English? If you spent the time to make a convincing hoax for a fake movie based on a Belgian-French comic, why not make a poster in French to make it more convincing? With so many of these hoaxes, we can trace their origin to an individual, but since this hoax was done anonymously, we have no one to put the blame on, and they may be watching this video right now getting a good laugh. It might be a user called Red Hair, maybe a play on Red Herring, who would post fake movie posters on Moviepedia, including a completely separate Sophie movie, Sophie's Summertime Stories, starring Tara Strong. Tara Strong has basically voiced every character in animation, and Sophie might just be the only one she hasn't. It's rumored that she's actually narrating this video right now, but you didn't hear it from me. The Christine Chubbuck tape. Warning, this next section discusses suicide. The story of Christine Chubbuck remains one of the most talked about, sought after, and popular pieces of lost media, but it's also one of the most morbid. On July 15th, 1974, American TV reporter Christine Chubbuck took her own life live on air, believed to be the first person to commit suicide live on TV. Ever since, the incident has remained an infamous, macabre fascination heavily sought after by sites like LiveLeak. But it's one of those pieces of lost media that may remain forever lost to the general public. The only confirmed copy is currently in the hands of a lawyer, and home copies of the 1974 footage are highly unlikely to exist due to the rarity of recording technology at the time. The popularity of the incident skyrocketed in 2016 when coincidentally 2 movies were released about Christine Chubbuck, Christine and Kate Plays Christine. In early 2017, as interest in the grisly scene reached an all-time high following the 2 movies, Christine's fabled video seemed to have surfaced online. On January 31st, 2017, a video titled Freaky 5 Lost Footage was uploaded by YouTuber Nation Squid. The video, detailing 5 disturbing pieces of lost media, has Christine's lost footage as number 1, but at the 8-minute 46-second mark, a distorted black and white video is shown, not found anywhere else online, with no disclaimer that it's fake, that looks like it's actual footage of Christine Chubbuck's final moments. The comment section on the video blew up, but Nation Squid kept quiet, leading viewers to draw their own conclusions. The footage is convincing in a lot of ways. Some have claimed that her body falls unnaturally, but honestly, her movement looks more repulsive than unnatural. Experts and eyewitnesses of the event were consulted, news articles on the tragedy were poured over, and actual stills taken of the 1974 incident were compared to the newly emerged video, and more than a few inconsistencies were noticed. Some of the most obvious ones were at the end of the video, the feed cuts to a technical difficulties graphic, when in reality the footage simply cuts to black, though the technical difficulties logo does match up with the station logo at the time. The grain of the footage appears to have been added in post, placed on top of it artificially. It's reasonable that the footage would have been very worn by this time, but the distortion seems to have been placed over to mask editing. The footage also features a zoom that likely wouldn't have been present. The video featured a much wider, uncentered view of Christine, when in reality the camera would have been much closer. And based on news coverage, after the shot, Christine didn't fall immediately on the ground, as she does in Nation Squid's video. But despite these flaws, the video is very well put together. Some thought it could have actually been an unreleased scene from one of the movies. Some were so convinced that news articles were actually made claiming the video was real. By February 13th, 2017, eyewitness Gordon Galbraith confirmed Squid's video was a fake. And the most convincing part of the fake, the news desk that appeared to be authentic, was found to have been sourced from actual news footage from the station that can be found online. To my knowledge, Nation Squid has never admitted the footage is fake, but did end up deleting his video. The consensus is that the footage is just a good fake, with many flaws to anyone with deep knowledge on the case. Though Christine's case remains one of the most popular in all of lost media, 40 years removed from the incident, it seems like nothing more would ever emerge from that fateful broadcast on July 15th, 1974. But in early 2021, a shocking discovery was made. YouTuber Adalist uploaded what is generally believed to be real audio of Christine's on-air suicide that they acquired from an unknown private collector. The audio matches snippets that can be heard in Kate Plays Christine and matches news reports, opening the door for a full release of one of lost media's most disturbing and tragic cases. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know if there are any entries here you think are real, and if there are any other hoaxes you want me to cover. I had a great time making this video, but again, I cannot state enough. Do not be like these folks spreading lies. If you like this video, you might like my video on Yeah Yeah Beavis 1, a near mythological video game that may or may not exist. This is Mike with All Things Lost. See you soon.